Good evening, good morning. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Big up to every single one of you. 12th man is back. Welcome back to the show. We're going to do a little bit of Arsenal talk. We're going to look towards tomorrow's game at Manchester City before, half hour or so before the 3 o'clock kickoff. So I thought it'd be good timing to get some content in to chat to you guys. I've had a busy morning and afternoon and got a busy evening. So literally got this slot in to talk to you guys today and get some understanding of what the hell is going on in the world of Arsenal and transfers. Not a lot, but there is some bits to talk about. We are going to talk about some of the breaking news at other clubs, which could have a domino effect on Arsenal. We're going to talk about the team news and the kind of predictions and preview game for Manchester City and look towards some of the fixtures today. So without further ado, make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe and make sure that you're following Reality Raffles. The link is in the description. There's a great opportunity for you to win an iPhone 16 or £600 cash, just 50 pence to enter for the raffle ticket. Make sure you are getting in there using the code FTM10, 10% off. You might as well do it, people. You're going to get yourself a cheap raffle ticket, an unbelievable opportunity to win not just this iPhone or £600 worth of cash, but there is a chance to win £13,000 or, of course, a Mini Cooper plus £500. Limited offer here. Please make sure that you are in for a chance here. We've got 300 instant win opportunities here for just £3.99. Please make sure that you are clicking on that link, Reality Raffles, following them on socials. They've got unbelievable opportunities for football games and they've got great opportunities to get to gigs and concerts. So please make sure that you are following them. There is also an opportunity to win £100,000 worth of cash. So go over to realityraffles.co.uk or click on the link in the description and it will take you straight there. Remember, the code you need is FTM10, people. FTM10. Let's take a look into the news today about Marcus Rashford. Now, I do want to start there because I do think it's important, and I'll tell you why I think it's important afterwards. The news is being shared by David Ornstein. Now, I know a lot of people are believing that David Ornstein is one of the most reliable, and I will say that I do believe that he is a fairly good source. However, like everyone, he does get it wrong. And people that say to me, Ornstein never gets it wrong, well, it's absolute rubbish. Trust me. He does get it wrong. Nicolas Pepe is not going to be an Arsenal player. 24 hours later, he's wearing the shirt. Trust me, he gets it wrong. So is he going to get this one wrong? It looks like Aston Villa are favourites to go and get Marcus Rashford. Well, why am I telling you about this? Well, you probably know why I'm telling you about this. Because if Aston Villa are close to agreeing a deal to sign Rashford on loan from Manchester United, what does that mean elsewhere? Now, one good thing is he's not coming to Arsenal on loan because everybody believed that he would be the deadline day signing. Oh, it's going to be Arsenal. We just know it. It's going to be a Sterling, Willian, Havertz, Jorginho type thing where we're knocking on teams' doors to ask what players they don't want. Apparently, there's still work to do, but it's expected that the 27-year-old Man United forward will join Villa. It's likely to include a buy option and a significant salary coverage plus bonuses. So it looks as if Manchester United's Marcus Rashford has found his club. Now, there was reports it was going to be abroad. There was reports that there was problems with wages. Villa have received a hell of a lot of money from John Duran. Selling him to Saudi Arabia for around £70 million means that they can afford Rashford's wages and a loan deal. Now, it could be an option to buy. I would have thought it probably got a good option to buy deal, to be honest with you. But look, this is a deal that needs to happen for all parties. Aston Villa can get a 27-year-old who's proven, Premier League proven, who can on his day be very good. Definitely a starter for Aston Villa on that wide area on the left. I think Marcus Rashford will find his feet in England at Aston Villa, playing Champions League football under Unai Emery, surrounded by better players. And actually, Manchester United just need him off the books. This is good news for Arsenal, though. Why? Well, they're linked with João Felix as well. And we all know the link to João Felix and we understand the link to João Felix. I will say this, though. If João Felix is to leave and go to Aston Villa, does he replace Duran? Because he plays more as an attacking 10. He can play in the striker role, can be in the striker mould. But is he the kind of Duran cover or replacement? Potentially. What does that mean for Rashford? Well, maybe Rashford and Felix are going to be added to Aston Villa with Ollie Watkins, or is Ollie Watkins going to be allowed to leave as well as Duran, and Rashford and Felix are the two replacements? Now, if you're an Aston Villa fan, you're being extremely disappointed if you're going to start the season with Duran and Watkins, and by January have them replaced with Rashford and Felix. They're not upgrades on Duran and Watkins, in my opinion. Watkins gets you more goals than Felix. Duran is a better option off the bench than Marcus Rashford. But to be fair, very different players. Rashford will start on the left. Duran was more of a striker. So I do believe that they're looking at these two deals to try to look at there being a potential deadline day move for Watkins. Now, I could be talking absolute nonsense and waffle. Maybe they want to add Rashford and Felix to Ollie Watkins and keep Watkins as well, because that would make most sense to me. They've signed Marlin. They've got rid of Philogene, so they've upgraded that position. In my opinion, I think Daniel Marlin is a good player. They've obviously still got Ramsey and McGinn and Bailey that can play wide, but Rashford will be added to that now. And João Felix, I think, will probably just replace John Duran and they'll keep Watkins. So that could still be a scenario, people. What we don't want to do is now make this out that because they're getting Rashford and Felix, they're going to be selling Watkins too. There is an understanding that PSR is a problem for Aston Villa, but I don't think they have to sell Watkins on top of John Duran to make sure that they're going to go within PSR. But what is interesting is they're linked with more players. So if they were worrying about the PSR, why would they be linked with 3 or 4 players? Because surely the John Duran money would have got them out of PSR issues, and they probably could have signed one player like a Rashford on loan. But if they're linked with Felix and the centre-back, I think Tomori was being linked. He's now rejected Tottenham. Another player who's rejected Tottenham, along with Matthias Tell, by the way. That's absolutely brilliant news. That's absolutely hilarious. What does this then mean for Ollie Watkins at Arsenal? Is there a potential for Ollie Watkins to have spoken to Aston Villa, allowed his player reps and his agents, etc., to agree deal with Arsenal, speak to Villa about him wanting to leave, and he's still kicking up a fuss? Now, I'm not going to say he's going to throw his toys out the plan, refuse to play, tell Villa that he wants out, otherwise he's playing in the reserves. I don't think all that nonsense will happen with Ollie Watkins. But I will say that I do think he's a player that 100% wants to go to Arsenal. The problem you've got is, are Villa going to sell him? I don't think Villa want to sell him. I don't think Villa should sell him. If I was an Aston Villa fan, I would be saying, why are we getting rid of Duran and Watkins? And why are we looking at Felix and Rashford coming in to replace them? You don't mind Rashford and Felix coming to Aston Villa on top of Duran and Watkins. But if they're coming as the replacements, that's a huge downgrade, right? Let's just say it how it is. Rashford isn't going to get 15, 20 goals a season like Watkins is. And if I'm honest with you, Duran in the last 6 months has proven that he can get double figures if he was to continue his form. Is Felix going to? I don't think so. I know Emery's a fan of João Felix, but he's not a Duran replacement. In fact, he's quite different to Duran. He plays more of a kind of attacking midfield role, just off the striker. I think Duran was an out-and-out striker, as is Watkins. So look, I don't know where the hatred has come from with this Watkins deal. It's not my number one excited striker. It's not the striker that takes us to the next level. I don't think we've waited to this moment to get Ollie Watkins across the line. But I tell you what, rival fans are saying that's a good signing. No, it's not. Wow, Isak's here. But it's certainly a signing that would give Arsenal more chance of winning the league than without him. So I always wanted Arsenal to show ambition. I think we've certainly shown ambition to try and get a Premier League forward, but we haven't shown ambition to try and sort our squad out enough in January or the summer. So you can do it last minute, and it's fine saying you go and get Ollie Watkins on the last day of the season, on the transfer window. But really, it's not been planned very well at all, has it? And if he doesn't come off, who do we get? Now, I've been crying out for Victor Gyökeres for so long, but it doesn't look like anybody is going for him. That means to me, he's agreed a summer deal or he's happy at Sporting. Victor Osimhen, the wages are a problem, everybody says, which is why he's struggling to get a move away from Napoli and Galatasaray. Then you've got the situation with Sesko, a player we want, a player that's not available until the summer. Vlahovic, Watkins, Jonathan David, all these names are being linked. If I'm honest with you, I'd take Watkins out of those names because he's Premier League proven and he's done it for the last 4 years consistently at Villa by scoring and goal and giving assists. I think what you've got to do then is weigh up. If you think Vlahovic or Sesko or Jonathan David or any other name you want to throw at me has got better numbers than Ollie Watkins, then please bring them to Arsenal. So as much as I'm not like, wow, Watkins is fantastic. Yes, he's misses chances, but actually his numbers show that although he misses chances, he does put them away as well. Whereas Havertz is missing chances and it's affecting him big time. And withdrew games because Havertz has fluffed his lines. Not just Havertz, but our front line but he is the one that we've paid the most money for, and he's on the most wages a week, and he's the one who should be stepping up as the marquee signing, and he hasn't been able to do that. So that is a bit of a problem for me. I've got to say that. Yeah, I have. Um, Arsenal need that killer. Arsenal need that gunman. Now, if they can't go and get Isak in the summer, and they definitely can't get him this January transfer window, then there are options of what we can do. The obvious choice for me was to be the release the clause of Victor Gyökeres. That's what I want to see happening. £84 million release clause, just go and release it. Because we're going to probably, if you want Watkins, pay 75 plus for him. That's a hell of a lot of money. I would rather release the clause of Gyökeres. I would rather go and get Victor Osimhen. If you can't get Sesko and you don't want David and you don't want some of the other options, Vlahovic, that have been thrown at you, that's fine. Go for Watkins. But first of all, let's try and get one of the Victors, yeah? Because I can tell you now, the rival fans will be going, oh, yeah, that's a really good signing for Arsenal, Victor Gyökeres. Oh, Victor Osimhen, yeah, he's kind of been there and done it. They're the two that I think everybody wants. They're the two people have been speaking about for a long time. They're the ones who have been saying, oh, yeah, if you went and got a European striker, it's the way, that we go. Look, we haven't got long, people. We've got till Monday. And Monday, when the window closes, what's going to happen with Arsenal? Are Arsenal going to have a centre forward? Are Arsenal going to have any form of forward? It's going to be interesting. That's for sure. So this one's coming from David Ornstein about Marcus Rashford. So it looks like he's off to Villa. What does that mean for Arsenal and Ollie Watkins? Well, I think it'll be very interesting if they sign Felix on top of this. What will happen? What will happen in the last day? Will Ollie Watkins make that move? Could be interesting, couldn't it? It really could be interesting. So let's see. There are other rumours, of course, not just surrounding Ollie Watkins. There is other rumours as well. I'll go through AFC stuff because, to be fair, I quite like AFC stuff. I think it rounds it up quite nicely. This is from Fabrizio Romano. He states that Arsenal have explored a move to sign Matthias Tel from Bayern Munich. Now, this is a really interesting one. I like Matthias Tel, 19, left winger, can play across the front three. Very, very, very high potential, high ceiling, could be a top prospect. I think it's weird that Bayern Munich are selling him because with Coman, Gnabry and Sane, future all up for grabs at Bayern Munich, that leaves them Michael Elise only. I'm very surprised that they're looking at getting rid of him, but he wants first team football, and that's something Bayern Munich cannot provide him at the moment. Now, he did go to Tottenham, we believe, and have a chat with them, and he has decided that Tottenham is not for him. I already love him already. Daniel Levy flew out to Bayern Munich. What a waste of a flight that was. I think he's spoken to his mate Harry Kane at Bayern Munich and said, Spurs, talk to me. And he said, don't bother, mate. I've got a few golden boots and that's enough. And then he looks at the league table and sees him in 15th and thinks, nah, not for me. He's got Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa and Manchester United that are all interested in him. However, Manchester United are trying to sell Garnacho, and then they are going to go in for him for a loan with an option to buy. Chelsea, I think, want him. He is very, very reluctant, from what we understand, to go to Chelsea because he doesn't believe he's guaranteed first-team football. On the right-hand side, they've obviously got Pedro Neto and Madueke, and on the left-hand side, they've got Jadon Sancho. Mudryk is still there, but of course has problems off the field, so he would come in and be a backup or cover or replacement, I should say, for Mudryk. But is Sancho going to start? Probably. On the left, they sometimes look to go through the middle with somebody different and play Jackson out wide as well at times. Palmer has played on the wing also. So there's not really a guarantee that Matthias Tel is going to be 100% playing for Chelsea. Unfortunately for Arsenal, we're in the same boat. Because as much as I think he could definitely get ahead at the moment of Martinelli and Trossard, who, let's be real, in the last few games have started to come back into the mix, but as a whole, this season have not been phenomenal by any means. They've fallen off a bit of a cliff. I think he could come in and start. He could come in and provide competition to the right and left-hand side. I think he'd be interested out of the clubs that are interested in him to see that Arsenal are in the Champions League last 8, and also they are in, or should I say last 16, but you know what I mean, we're in the top 8. And of course, we're in a title race still. I know people are saying we're not going to win the league, but we are still 6 points off of it if things go right today and Bournemouth are to get the result that everybody hopes they get as an Arsenal fan, then we could be 3 points off. And then, of course, that's if we win tomorrow against Manchester City. They've got their game in hand, and we've still got to play them, as have Manchester City, and that game in hand is against Everton. Now, yes, that's me being positive and optimistic, but it's also factual that if those things were to happen, Arsenal could catch up Liverpool quite quickly. Football changes very quickly. We all know this, right? So he might look at that scenario, Matthias Tell, and he might think that Arsenal are the team for him. Now, I think he'd be a great option. I do think he'd be, at the moment, from what I see realistically, one of the better options. Nico Williams is clearly the player that Arteta wants, but that is going to be a summer move, if a move at all. It's not the money that's a problem. Wages could be, but we have got enough money to pay him the £300,000 a week he's apparently asking for. It's a release clause of £49 million, which means it'll be quite easy to get him agreed to come, activate that release clause, and there's not much that Athletic Bilbao can do. But it's not going to happen until the summer. Sesko is clearly one of the guys we're looking at, and Isak also, but they are going to be summer moves, if at all. Zubimendi is another player that has been linked with Arsenal and could be a summer move. So if we look at Watkins and Tell potentially coming in for Arsenal in the last day, that would be a very, very good end to the window. But I would ask the question, why the hell have we left it this late? Very, very bizarre. Very bizarre, if I'm honest with you. So that's that news. Heaven has joined Manchester United permanently from Arsenal. I'm not going to sit there and say this is a bad thing. A lot of our Man United fans were getting excited about this one. Oh my God, they're moving from Arsenal to... who cares? Like, seriously, he is nothing unbelievably special. Looked like a half-decent centre-half. That's it. Yeah. Chido Obi-Martin, on the other hand, I think is a very good player. But Aiden Heaven, not too sure. Not too sure. This is quite interesting. Where does the number 14 come from? Is it because your idol was Thierry Henry? Definitely a player I liked a bit extra. He's obviously speaking about number 14 at Newcastle and why the number 14 is big for him. They're trying to make a big thing of it and say that he would like to be the number 14 at Arsenal and replace Thierry Henry, who was his hero. I don't read too much into that, if I'm honest with you. I would love Isak. Fans would love Isak. Newcastle aren't selling him. We need to move on and just accept that. And I understand why they're not going to, because he is absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. An assist from Ozil, which we know about. Do you know what? Let's watch it, because he was a great player, to be fair to him. Really good goal from Olivier Giroud, to be fair. I remember that game. I do remember that game. I was at this game. And I remember that touch from Ozil. Watch this. Boom. Absolutely phenomenal. On this day in 2015, goals from Giroud, Ozil, Walcott, Cazorla, and Bellerin. Yep, so that is on this day. What else have we got? This is the thing that I wanted. So, Nipan. He is staying, people. He's not interested. He's expected to stay at Rosenborg until the end of the season. Arsenal are working on a deal. However, he's now expected to stay with Rosenborg before a definite decision is made. Any potential move in the summer. David Ornstein reporting the 18-year-old is going to be staying now. Arsenal clearly looking at getting him, but he's now expected to stay. Now, I don't think he's rejected Arsenal. I don't think he doesn't want Arsenal. I think that would be rather silly to suggest that. But I will say this. I think he is, clearly a talented player. But is he really going to get us excited? Like, it doesn't really bother me if he comes or not. Now, I'll say that now. Maybe in 5 years, I'll look back and think, oh, why? Why is that? But I don't know enough about him. And I don't think, if I'm honest, I would believe this to be a very important signing for this window. More than happy to discuss it in the summer, talk about the future, but I want players right now. And he's not ready right now. I'd rather play Ethan. So that's what I would say about him. What else have we got? Bit of team news. Uncertain on Raya. Muscular injury. We have another session tomorrow, another 48 hours. We have to wait and see. White is definitely out. Hasn't traded with us yet. No other news from the Girona game. We're going to talk more on that in a minute about Manchester City, because we do have to talk about it. And it is something that I do want to discuss with you guys. But it doesn't look like Arsenal are in for anyone realistically this window other than Watkins and Matthias Tell. Now, Matthias Tell, I think, out of all the clubs available, will probably end up going to Manchester United. If I'm honest, I think that he will fancy the first team football. He'll like the fact that it's a new project. He'll like the fact that he can go to one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in England. He'll also like the fact that Amarim's there. It's a new project and a system that I think he could probably work and fit into. Let's see, because Manchester United up top are pretty poor. They're looking to get rid of Rashford and Garnacho. They've only really got Amad Diallo on the wide areas, so they wouldn't need another winger. Up top, Xerxes and Højlund have proven to be pretty poor, and he can play across their front three. So it would make sense for me, if I'm honest. It would be something that makes sense. Let's take a look, however, at the other transfer news around the leagues and clubs at the moment. Obviously, I brought you the news earlier that Rashford looks like he's on his way to Aston Villa. Wages will not be an issue from what we understand. Marcus Edwards, Sporting Lisbon player, he's been given permission to fly to England to complete his move to Burnley and undergo a medical. That's come from Ben Jacobs, player that was on the books at Tottenham as a youngster and has got definite quality. Fiorentina have signed Endor. Here we go. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester City. This is an interesting one. Aren't you just jealous of Man City, people? A serious club. A club that wins. A club that do things the right way when they're struggling. And that's back their manager and back their board back in their team. That is what happens. Now, people will scream at the show, they don't do things the right way. 115, 115. I think they're going to be fine at 115, if I'm honest. Pep don't sign new deals if you don't think that's the case. And also, Haaland don't sign a 10-year deal if he's going to be playing in the bloody League One, does he? So I think they're going to get non-compliance fines, and that'll be it. But they are in talks over a deal for the Porto midfielder Nico Gonzalez. They're unwilling to meet his release clause of £50 million ahead of the transfer deadline, but they're confident they can get a deal done. Now, Manchester City need a midfielder to replace Rodri. They've been linked with Cambiasso, who can play there, but also at fullback. They've also been linked with Douglas Luiz, coming from Juventus, who's been told he can leave. Nico Gonzalez is not a player that I actually know much about. I can't lie to you. He's not a player I look at and go, wow. But he is, from what I understand, the position that they need, and that is a Rodri replacement. Other than that, Manchester City are pretty good. They've got their two centre-halves that they're happy with for the future, Kuzanov and also Vitor Hayes. Two players that are young but definitely have shown promise and can come in and compete with the team that, let's be real, have struggled to keep clean sheets so far this season. Nico Gonzalez coming in would definitely be the replacement for Rodri. And then obviously, if they do want to bring in Cambiasso as well, they've got fullback cover and midfield cover as well. But the one signing that I think I'm very jealous of, and I think most Premier League teams will be jealous of and fans will be jealous of, is Omar Marmoush. Marmoush is going to be a great player. Now, him and Savio are going to cause some problems tomorrow, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But I just think with Marmoush, he's straight away looking like he's a player that can get in behind. He's definitely someone you need to watch marking-wise of his movement. I think that's going to allow Haaland to get more space and move in the games more. I think Marmoush can score great goals. He's proven that at Frankfurt, and it's a great signing, and it's a signing Arsenal should have made. Can play on the left, can play in the middle, can play through the middle. He is a baller. Manchester City have had a very good window, and if they was to get Nico Gonzalez as well, they just proved they're a real serious corrupt club. And what frustrates me even more, guys, is this is a team that have so much credit in the bank that they don't actually care they're having a bad season. It's like a rest for them and a break for them. And then what happens is they go, right, we've had a real bad start. We messed up the summer window. Rodri's injured. What are we going to do? Well, you need a couple of centre-halves, don't you? Because yours have looking a bit rusty. You also need another replacement for Rodri. He's out, so we'll get you this. We'll also get you a proper explosive left winger because your two, Doku and Grealish, ain't really doing it. That's what a proper club does, people. That's what a proper club does. Arsenal, Sterling, he's here. We haven't got Jesus and Saka, though. Well, that doesn't matter. You've got Sterling. Get on with it. Havertz is the only recognised 9, and he's not really a 9 because you brought him as a midfielder. Don't matter. Get on with it. Martin and Trossard aren't quite there. We might need something else. No, get on with it. What about our midfield? We've only really... No, get on with it. We haven't got any cover for Saliba. Don't care. Get on with it. This is what we're doing. This is what we are. We are not serious, but Manchester City are. Let's see what happens with Nico Gonzalez. I don't know how true it is that Man City are going to be getting him, but he's heavily linked at the moment. So let's see what happens there. Real Madrid are working to renew Vinny Jr.'s contract beyond 2027 with a wage increase. That could be quite an interesting one. Talks of Morata, who's just signed for Galatasaray. A bit of a strange one what happened at AC Milan, but how many clubs has he played for? My goodness. Looks like he's going to complete that deal this evening. Manchester United have once again signalled to Munich their intention to submit a concrete loan offer for Matthias Tell. Look, I think Bayern Munich would be interested in a loan with an option to buy, which is why I think Arsenal should be all over that. If we don't actually have to buy Matthias Tell, maybe we can get him on loan with an option to buy in the summer for 60 million or whatever it is they want. Maybe we can do that. Maybe that would be a really good deal. Maybe that's what Manchester United are looking at right now. But for me, I just think we need to bring someone in. And if he's the exciting 19-year-old that people are talking about at the moment, let's be all over it. If we can't get over Lookman, we couldn't get Marmoush, we can't get and didn't go in for Kvaratskhelia, and we're not looking at Nico Williams till the summer. Let's get this guy in, man. Crikey, we're desperate. Apparently, they could make their move for Tell once Rashford's move to Villa is complete. There was rumours that Matthias Tell was a player that Villa were interested in. I imagine they're not now that Rashford's going to go there. So it looks like Manchester United are now going to move for Matthias Tell. Make sure you do me a favour, people. There's 700 people in here, but there's only 93 likes. And we haven't got anywhere near enough subscriptions yet. So please make sure you hit like and subscribe, please. 2 buttons that are free. I just need you to do that now for me. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and then we fly. Let's get to 300 likes, people. Come on. We can easily do that. There's 700 of you in here. That's not even 50%. That's actually quite poor. So if you're not hitting the like button, then you're not doing your job, people. All you got to do is hit like. It don't cost a penny. I'm not asking you for donations or super chats. I'm just asking you to click 2 buttons for me. Like and subscribe. Big up to you guys. Let's do some super chat, shall we? Because we might as well, seeing as we're here. This one comes in from Bob. I hope you're well, bruv. He says, I think Villa are acting more like a big club than Arsenal, strengthening, and they'll keep Watkins too. But I hope I'm wrong. A lot of people are saying that they believe that Villa are going to keep Watkins and actually add Rashford and Felix to it and actually find themselves in a good position. Maybe. Bo says, how is our fan base not getting sick and tired of this? Well, I think they are, Bo. I really do, bruv. I certainly am. But I kind of feel like I've accepted it now that our owners aren't serious. I've accepted that our board is a just depleted disgrace. You've got nobody other than Jason Ato, and he's now trying to complete a deal 2 days before the transfer window ends with Ollie Watkins. You've got Arteta, who's kind of crying out in interviews that we're short, and nothing seems to be done. It's just mad. Not a serious club. And if I'm honest, I'm not going to lie, I don't think we have been in the last 2 decades. This goes before Arteta. This dates back way before Mikel Arteta and Edu. Luis Suarez, 40 million and £1. N'Golo Kante for 32 million. We bought Granit Xhaka for 34. Mustafi was 35 million the year that Van Dijk was at Celtic and went to Southampton for 11 million. This has been happening for a long time. How long were we at the Emirates for with poor centre-halves? How long have we been in the Emirates with poor goalkeepers? We were playing Malmunia in goal for 5 seasons. We had a centre-half pairing that was pretty embarrassing for God knows how long. We had no central defensive midfielder after Vieira. We had to make do with Denilson. We had to make do with Song. We had to make do with Coquelin. We had to make do with Xhaka. These have been positions that have been neglected for seasons. And now we don't have a striker, but we have the centre-backs. Beforehand, we had Aubameyang and Lacazette, but we didn't have the centre-backs. When we finally looked to get some creativity in Ozil and Cazorla and Sanchez, we had no DM and no centre-half pairing. So there's always been a department that has been lacking. And right now with Mikel Arteta, the department is the front three. It really is. It's poor, people. It's poor. Look, I don't know what else to say, if I'm honest, other than Arsenal right now are a team that don't look very serious in the transfer market. The games have just kicked off, so I'm not going to be too long today. But what I will do is a quick preview for tomorrow. It's a must-win game. I hope that Bournemouth beat Liverpool today. I don't think they will. I think Liverpool are going to win 2-1, but I hope that they do. Now, let's see. What's this idiot doing, man? Get rid of this idiot in the chat. Let's go through the fixtures right now because, we need to look at these games. Wow, Everton are already 1-0 up against Leicester. If you got them in your ACCA, fair play. Obviously, today you got Newcastle, Fulham. I've gone 2-1 Newcastle. Everton, Leicester, I've actually gone 2-0 Everton. Ipswich, Southampton, I've gone 2-1 Ipswich. Bournemouth, Liverpool, I've gone 2-1 Liverpool, but I hope Bournemouth can take something. Forest beat Brighton 7-0. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Decore scored in the first minute for Everton. Wow, I don't think anybody had that. Later on, we got Wolves and Aston Villa. I expect Aston Villa to win that game. I'm going to go 2-1. Manchester United, Palace, I'm going to go 1-1 tomorrow. Brentford, Tottenham, I'm going Brentford to win that 2-1. Arsenal, City, I'm going with my heart. Arsenal win 2-1. Monday night, Chelsea, West Ham, I'm going to go Chelsea to win that one by 2-0. That's what I will say. Then we've got the midweek game, Everton, Liverpool, which I think will be quite an easy victory for Liverpool, but it is the last derby at Goodison Park. So they would 100% not want to lose that one, Everton. So I'm praying that that is going to be quite a difficult one for them. Let's see. Tomorrow, Raya, not sure if he is 100% fit. I hope that he is. I'm praying that he is 100% fit. We're going to have to. Otherwise, we're going to be in a position where we're going to have bloody Neto. I do not want Neto in goal after the other night. I thought it was an absolute shambles, if I'm honest. So I've got to say, it has to be Raya in goal. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Miles Lewis-Skelly are the back four that I would pick. It could be that Calafiori comes in, but I think after all the fuss we had with Lewis-Skelly, let's just be real. We just have to have Lewis-Skelly in now that he's been rescinded his red card. And then, of course, midfield, Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. Havertz up top with Ethan Nwaneri starting on the right wing, and I would go with Martinelli starting on the left wing. That's what I would say would be best. So that's the front three that I'm going with. I'll go 2-1 Arsenal. My head is saying 1-1. I think they can cause us problems with Marmoush, Savio, Foden, and Haaland. That front four is a good front four. Their midfield, if they get the balance right, I imagine it will be Kovacic and Bernardo. And then, of course, at the back, it's going to be who's going to play at right back. Is it going to be Nunes? Is it going to be Huzanov? Is it going to be one of the other players like Kanji or Stones? It's going to be interesting. That's for sure. Big up to everybody for being here today. Big up to all of you. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because I'm going to send you over to Saeed, who is doing the watch along for Liverpool and all of the games today. So please make sure you go send him some love. Say 12th man's raid. Dan Potts sent me. Make sure you do that, people. Make sure you're also following Reality Raffles. Make sure you're in with a chance to win the Mini Cooper or, of course, the iPhone 16. There's also a great opportunity for you guys to win £100,000 in cash. Reality Raffles, raffle tickets are available. Please make sure you use the code FTM10 so you get 10% off. And I will see you tomorrow for the Arsenal-Man City game. Big up to every single one of you. Go show Saeed some love. Take care. And up the Arsenal. Latest, people.